Hello, welcome back. Okay, so firstly, thank you to everyone who's commented on the World Series videos. There are quite a few other things that you've suggested I check out in baseball, and I will be looking at those videos and doing something on those. But first of all, I wanted to sort out what team I'm going to support and root for. So obviously there are 30 teams in the MLB, and that would take me ages to work through all of those. So what I've decided is I'm going to have a little sort of knockout competition. So I've whittled the first 30 down to 16. Then what I'm going to do is match them up and compare them. And I thought this would be a good way to learn about the team. So match them up, so we'll go to 16, then whittle that down to 8, then down to 4, which will be the semi-finals, and then the final between two teams. And as I go through it, I'll learn more about those teams. So, and it could be completely arbitrary. There's no real reason why I might choose one team over another. It's not whether that team I would think would beat this other team or whatever. It's about who I want to support, it could even be something as silly as how easy it is to get to the ground. What the atmosphere is like, that sort of thing. So hopefully, comment on that sort of thing. So, right, so the last 16, and I'll go through why I've chosen these, and like I say, they could be completely random reasons. And if you think I've made a mistake, tell me, because in the next few days I'll be doing the next round. So the last 16 are got Houston and Philadelphia. Obviously, World Series last year, the games that got me into baseball. So they're through to the last 16. Then we've got the Yankees, the Mets, and the Rays. This is simply because I've been to New York and I've been to Tampa. New York was about 13 years ago. Tampa would have been, was 2023 now, so scarily that was 40 years ago when I was 13. Got family in Alabama, and we flew to Tampa and then drove up through Florida to Alabama to see them. Next team, Toronto Blue Jays. Never been there, but I've always wanted to go to Canada. So, if I end up supporting them, that gives me the excuse. Next we have the Cardinals and the Cubs. Kind of got to include them because they're the two teams that are playing in London. Hopefully I will get to that game, and if I do, I'll do a vlog on it. Pretty sure that's at what was the Olympic stadium, so hopefully it isn't too hard to get to because it's at Stratford. I think that's where they're playing. But then we get to the wild cards. Now these are clubs that I've chosen for no great reason. I'll explain why I've chosen them, but I did say it could be for quite an arbitrary reason. So the first one, Milwaukee Brewers, because I like beer. Brewers, beer, and Happy Days. Wasn't Happy Days in Milwaukee? I think that probably shows my age as well, that I remember Happy Days. Then we have the Colorado Rockies, just because that sounds so American. Colorado and the Rockies sounds brilliant. Love the name. The logo's a bit naff, but anyhow, CNR could have been a bit more original. But anyway, I did say it could be for any reason. Arizona Diamondbacks. This one, simply because this team was recommended by somebody in the comments. So thank you, King Potassium, for recommending them. Now we now have the Miami Marlins, and again, thank you to Stitch for commenting and telling me that I didn't realise our star player for Great Britain in the upcoming World Classic is Jazz Chisholm, who plays for them. Jazz Chisholm, that's a pretty cool name. He's from the Bahamas, which for some reason, because the Bahamas is a British protectorate, he can play for Great Britain. I'm not complaining. Means we've got a good player. But yes, thanks again to Stitch for telling me about them. Then we have the Kansas City Royals. Now this is a really loose connection. I happen to live in Norfolk in the UK, and I don't live very far from Sandringham, which some of you may have heard of. Is, or well, it was the Queen's, it's now the King's residence. It tends to be where they traditionally spend Christmas, and it's the Royal Estate, and it is just down the road from us. So, what's it about? No, it's not far. And I did tell you it would be the vaguest of reasons why I choose some of these teams. Next, we have San Diego Padres. Again, because somebody mentioned them in the comments that they'd be a good team to support. Sorry, I can't remember who it was who listed them in the comments. But yeah, good as reason, any. So we'll have a look at those. Now we have Detroit Tigers. I told you it's going to be vague reasons why I chose these last 16. It's because I like cars. Simple. And actually I do like American cars. I've often wondered what it'd be like to drive a big American car around the tiny back roads of Norfolk. If you imagine a lot of the roads around here are what we would call single track, which aren't much bigger than, well, yeah, you can get VW Golf, or I think call them VW Rabbits, do you? Yeah, quite easily down them, but they are single track, and a big American car I can imagine would be fun. And right, last 16, the very last one, and again, tenuous reason, it really is, but it is the Seattle Mariners, because I live near the sea, and I've always wanted to go to the Pacific Northwest. I know Twin Peaks wasn't filmed in Seattle, but you know, Northwest. It'd be quite nice to go to Seattle and tour around and that sort of thing. Scenery looks amazing. So that's the last 16. Excuse me. So the next video, I'll split these 16 into two groups, Group A and Group B, funny enough. So the next video, I'm going to look at the first 8 of those, pair them up, and decide between two teams which one of those two teams should go through to the next round. So, Group A, round 1, the first two teams that I'm going to decide between are Houston versus Cincinnati, isn't it? Oh, we're already going. St. Louis. What am I saying, Cincinnati? St. Louis Cardinals. I really must learn these teams better. So I'm going to decide, basically the idea is, decide which one of those two teams I prefer. And the team I prefer goes round to the next round. Then we have the Yankees versus the Diamondbacks. Could be interesting. Rays versus Mariners. And the Brewers versus Miami, I want to say Dolphins, but that's not. Miami Marlins. I want to keep wanting to call them Miami Martins, but that's not Marlins, isn't it? So those are the 4 matchups that I'm going to look at in a bit more detail in the next video and decide between. If you've got any views, please comment. If you think I've made a complete mistake and I've missed out a really obvious team, let me know. And I hope this all makes sense about how I'm deciding to do this. Eventually it will get down to the last 2. It shouldn't take too many videos, but I wanted to make fairly short videos to go through it. And it could be, like I say, completely arbitrary reasons as to why I choose one team over the other. If you've got comments on those ones, let me know. And I'll probably do the next video in 2 or 3 days. So please comment on them, like the video, subscribe, share the video, get your friends to look at it, and as I said in the last video, help me get to a game in the States. That would be great if I can build this channel enough to get over to the US and watch a game live of the team, hopefully a home game of the team that I end up supporting, which would be brilliant. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in a few days. Thank you. Bye.